And hi, Huskies Warming House podcast fans. It's time for a new segment here between myself and Noah Grant. This is going to be called our tape-to-tape breakdown. And for Noah Grant, he has been defending himself on this play, the ill-advised slap shot, for some time. And I think it would be important, and it was more of his idea nonetheless, to try to actually show and break down this play from start to finish to really kind of show why he thought that this slap shot during this play was still advised. Noah, let's bring up the video clip and let's start actually in the back end with a turnover in the Huskies defensive zone.
Sure, yeah, we'll play through this clip once so everybody can get a chance to see it, and then we'll break it down for you here right now.
Yeah, Jack comes down, gets the game winner. Kind of an ill-advised shot that he's selected a couple times this year. What, from your perspective, is kind of the key to success on a shot like that?
Well, I'm curious. What do you mean ill-advised?
Okay, Nick, so let's start here. Nick Perbix, a very offensive defenseman, loves to move the puck, really became kind of a catalyst in the second half for St. Cloud State. Starts this rush as he, like we just mentioned, often does. And this is kind of where this play all develops. Right here, you can see this North Dakota defender right here. I'm assuming, but I'm not for certain, that this North Dakota, on the rush here, this forward probably turned the puck over at some point here. So that's probably why he's beat, is he's probably turning his feet, trying to come back up the ice, or maybe Nick Perbix just made a really good move. But it's important, to notice this, because coming through the middle of the ice is Nick Paling. And then coming on the outside, on the far end of the ice, which would be closest to the radio booth, if you're sitting in the Herb Brooks National Hockey Center, is Jack Paling. And Jack Paling is going to be the ultimate recipient of this play here. So if we kind of run it through just a little bit here, you can see really nice pass here by Nick Perbix to Nick Paling here. And Nick, let's kind of talk about this section right here first, because this is kind of where this play all starts, because this defenseman, really doesn't have an opportunity to make a play on Nick Perbix here, just because of the fact that he has to respect this middle drive by Nick Paling here. Kind of, what are your thoughts here maybe about this North Dakota setup, and why does North Dakota get beat on this zone entry here?
Well, first of all, you talk about picking up players, and especially as a forward, and we talk about this all the time in hockey, and that is, it's the players without the puck that's the most important, especially coming through the middle of the ice on the back check. As you can see, the North Dakota forward here, who's in between Nick Paling and Nick Perbix there, he's kind of caught in the middle here. And I would say that you would agree, Noah, that in this situation, as you mentioned, the defenseman has to respect Nick Paling, because you don't want to step up here, either miss. You don't want to leave yourself in a 2-on-1 situation with your opposing defenseman. So especially when this forward is pretty much beat, as we went back a couple of frames. The other thing here is that this forward, if you're going to be in the middle between two opposing forward players, you just simply can't be there taking up space. You have to make a decision whether it's to come back towards Nick Paling, maybe offer a stick check, or drive in towards Nick Perbix, force the puck maybe into dump it down, but force him to make a lower percentage play, especially in the back check, because it's a much better for defensive positioning, for him to have a opposing forecheck, have to give up the puck and go get it. When North Dakota's back end is incredibly fast, incredibly skilled, they know how to move the puck well, and they move their feet pretty well. Whereas in this case, Nick Perbix sees a little bit of a lane. It's not a very big pass, it's maybe a 10-foot pass, but he beats two players on this play. He beats the forward and the defenseman, who has a good gap here, but because of Nick Paling's positioning, he's going to open up, and we eventually will have a 2-on-1 here, Noah.
Right, and kind of to go back to that point, it turns a 3-on-3, which essentially would be the defenseman either taking Nick Paling or Nick Perbix, and then this forward taking whichever one the defenseman doesn't take, and then the weak side defenseman takes Jack Paling. It turns this play from a 3-on-3 into a 3-on-2, and that's ultimately why this play is so successful, because at some point here, Jack Paling, who's on the opposite side, knows he's going to get this puck, either from a direct pass from Nick Perbix, a dump in or high float to the opposite corner that Jack Paling is going to get, or the exact play that transpired, which is a beautiful play from Nick Paling here. So let's kind of play it through a little bit farther. And this is, again, where I'm talking about, this is how we know that Jack Paling is going to get this puck at this point, because Jack Paling is probably about even with his brother Nick, if not maybe just a shade behind him. So as soon as you go to your backhand as a hockey player, especially entering the zone with a defenseman that's now probably turning his feet to come back and cover Nick Paling here, when you go to your backhand, you've taken yourself out of a shooting angle. You know, you're the only two players entering the zone. So at this point, you know, Jack Paling knows he's going to get this puck if Nick Paling can make a really great saucer pass or some play that can get through this defenseman. And this North Dakota defenseman, Nick, not bad positioning for the UND defender.
No, it's good gap. Again, you talk about, stick to stick. And again, this defenseman's reading off. He just saw this pass game in the neutral zone. He knows that now he's in a 2-on-1 situation. So he's trying to get Nick Paling on a more wider angle here without trying to overcommit as well and get himself off the middle of the ice. So he's in good position here. There's really nothing wrong with North Dakota. Again, this play develops from that initial pass from Nick Perbix and Nick Paling. So at this point, he's got good gap, and essentially his really only chance here to break up this play is to try to intercept that pass. And as you mentioned, this has to be a puck that's in the air. If you're Nick Paling, you cannot have this puck on the ice. It's a lot harder as a defenseman, especially when his hands are extended to try to tip this puck or make some type of deflection, intercept the pass. He's outstretched. So this is an easy read for Nick Paling. And as you mentioned, with the stick on the heel of his blade there on the back end, you know that this puck is going in the air to his twin brother, Jack.
Right. And so that brings it to kind of the coup de grace of why I called this an ill-advised play. And really what I should have called it is a low percentage play. But the reason, the fact that it's low percentage actually plays in Jack's favor a little bit here, because he kind of catches goaltender Peter Thome of North Dakota off guard a little bit here. So let's play this through. Really nice backhand pass there. And now this defenseman has to turn his feet and commit. So Jack Paling is going to get this puck. He's slowed his speed down, and he's getting ready to tee it up here. So one of the things to remember about backhand saucer passes, I mean, this clip is slowed down at quarter speed for all of our fans watching. And it's important to remember that because, this play is happening at high velocity, and Nick Paling has to make this backhand saucer pass, and Jack Paling has to catch it, cleanly and try to make a play with it very quickly. So the reason that I thought it was ill-advised is I'm thinking here, I mean, this is a really great shooting angle. If you're a hockey player, anywhere, dots or inside, and then top of the circles down is a really nice shooting angle for any shooter here. So for me, I'm thinking the quick release, the more accurate wrist shot is a better play here. Catch this puck on your stick, off your stick. Maybe go short side if you can catch a goaltender, as he's coming across here. But I think the reason that Jack Paling doesn't do that is because of the backhand saucer pass. He wants to make sure the puck's not going to be in his feet. It's not going to be, mishandled or mispassed in any way, shape, or form. So he catches it, and now he realizes that he's got a goaltender in Peter Thome that's already coming across at this point, right? Because he didn't catch that puck. He didn't release it quickly. So now Peter Thome is coming across. And this is why this play works. Because as Peter Thome comes across, he's really trying to front the puck here. Peter Thome is not worried about where Jack Paling's feet are. He's not worried about where his stick is. He's worried about where that puck is. He's trying to stay centered to that puck as long as he can. Well, if he expects Jack to, grab this puck and get rid of it quickly, well, he has very little time to track that puck before it comes off his stick. Well, Jack, with this extra second of hesitation, allows Peter Thome to overcommit just a little bit, probably less than half a foot here, and he goes back against the grain. Also, you got to love the North Dakota defenseman laying down here. Probably has no chance on this puck. But the reason this is important is you can see as the puck is already behind Peter Thome here at this point. It's probably just getting ready to hit the post. But you can see for goaltenders, one thing to remember is as you see this leg is starting to tuck in and this hand is tucked in, that's where you want your hands as a goaltender. You want your hands to be able to be up against your sides, so that glove hand should be in a similar position somewhat as that blocker hand, because that means that you're forcing the shooter to beat you to the outside of your body in some capacity. So when you see this leg flare out, when you see this arm flare out, Peter Thome, again, not beat by very much here, but he's beat just enough, and now he's kind of grasping at straws a little bit here, reaching back across, hoping that he can catch this puck, because Jack Paling froze him just a little bit with that windup. So for me, the reason that I call this an ill-advised / low percentage play is Jack Paling is a world-class hockey player. There's no doubt about that, as are both of his brothers. But to make this play a slap shot against the grain with speed, off the post and in, and this is no offense to Jack, 9 times out of 10, I don't think he's able to hit that far post cleanly while beating Peter Thome at the same time. Peter Thome might get a piece of it. He might put it off the post and wide or just miss the net completely. And that's not a discredit to him. That's just saying, you know what? It was a really nice shot, really executed shot, but it's probably not a high percentage play to continue on.
And then a couple of things I want to talk about, Noah, too, is keep it in this frame, if you would. Excellent breakdown of goaltending. And almost, as you talk about reaching down, if you look at the positioning of his right leg, as you mentioned, that extra second hesitation does look like he is slightly overcommitted to the right. But I want to talk about Nick Paling here a little bit, because when you have a defenseman, and we talked about this prior to taping, is when he goes down, again, that backhand sauce pass goes from Nick to Jack. He leaves his feet really early. In fact, he starts going down the minute that Jack Paling is winding up his stick. And to me, when I see video of a defenseman committing, that tells me the defenseman is in desperation mode. That means he doesn't feel like he has control of the play. And if you look just to his right here, where Nick Paling is, if there's one critique that you can give in this video of a Husky player, Nick Paling, he's in the middle of the ice here. And what he's doing is, as we saw, if we actually want to reverse the video feed just a little bit here, if we can. Nick Paling was on the far end. He was actually driving toward that right post. And instead what happens is he actually drives more towards the middle slot here. And maybe that's one coaching thing to keep in mind for young players. You actually want to drive to that far side post. And here's why. You're going to draw some attention from that weak side defenseman or that opposing forward that you beat. And if you're bringing him, drawing him back to the ice, if we keep this video paused here, if he draws to that far side post, you're going to open up that middle side of the ice, number one. Number two, if Jack Paling fakes the slap shot, this defenseman's down. Look how much space is between his skates and the goaltender. There's plenty of space, or he takes 1 or 2 strides. All he has to do is slide over the puck to Nick Paling. He has to tap in on his backhand for a goal. And as you can see, Peter Thome is already set in his butterfly. He's committed. So if you're going to try to maybe offer some critique in the situation too, make sure when you're the player without the puck in the offensive zone, especially driving the middle, once that play is pretty much on that high slot area and go down, make sure you're driving that far side to open up the middle, because at the end of the day, if that rebound goes to the right, you're in good position. However, if that puck does indeed rebound to the middle, that's when you have 3, or maybe that trailing defenseman can step in and then get that rebound opportunity. So maybe only one critique from my eyes when you watch this frame.
Right, and I think actually a better view of this too, and this is why this slap shot will work well too in this situation as a fake slap shot, and then kind of a redirect if you have a player driving back door as well, because the defenseman, part of the reason he's going down too is if you're not going to take a wrist shot, or you don't have that puck in a shooting position or a passing position as you do when you're getting ready to take a wrist shot, the defenseman, once he sees that windup, he knows that you're probably going to be doing something at that point, right? So he's just trying to take away the middle of the ice. But as you mentioned, I think a better look at this clip is actually if we play it through just a little bit here. So he's going to obviously, jump this play down, a really nice backhand saucer pass here. But then, if we slow it down again here, Nick, this is exactly what you're talking about here. And this is a really good look at it. This defenseman is starting to go down, but you have Nick Paling here. His job at this point, obviously he probably should look for a rebound, should look for maybe a redirect or something, but his main job here is to find this North Dakota defenseman and try to take him out of the play by creating some sort of havoc. Make this goaltender have to feel like he's got pressure coming on the backside that he has to commit to. And again, probably plays back to why this play works so well is Peter Thome sees that net front drive and presence isn't actually coming. So then he realizes, well, I'm just going to come across and front the shooter, because I don't have to worry about that backdoor play, and he overcommits just a little bit, as we can see coming across, and boom, right in the back of the net.
And I want you to reverse this a couple of frames here, Noah, because 100% agree. But if you look right behind Jack Paling there, right there, stop the play right here, just be in front of the referee. There's your F3 right there. He's in perfect position. All he has to do is sit up in the high slot. He's the trailer. So if, again, that rebound does get kicked out, and I know for some of the more modern goaltending coaching, sometimes you're taught if it's on your blocker side, and again, this is going to the glove. But if you're going to shoot far side, which is a very smart shot selection in this case, because again, if the goaltender's coming across and he's sliding, you're having a reactionary pad save, which means that puck is being shot at a pretty high velocity somewhere, whether it's to the right or back in the middle. He's in good position to pick up a loose puck if it goes to the middle. Whereas you mentioned, Nick Poehling here has got to make a tie up, and more importantly, it gives a goaltender something to think about. Again, Jack Poehling could easily have wound up, put the stick back on the ice. That defenseman's out of the play. He could still take a shot in the situation as he drives in towards the net. But if Nick Poehling is coming across the middle, he's taking away not only a shooting option and limiting what kind of the net he can shoot at, he's also taking away a potential, as we mentioned before, a backdoor passing play. So you're trying to give the goaltender just have it again, play the middle, not really having to go in and be able to front the shot. Now he's got to think, is it a shot, or maybe is this going to be a pass? And with Jack Ashon on the ice, with St. Cloud State, and the way that they see the ice, especially in a wide ice like the Herb Brooks National Hockey Center is, the minute you can get a goaltender to think, not commit to a shot and make him think two different things, that spells trouble for any goaltender in the NCHC.
Right. And before we finish wrapping up this video, the last breakdown I have too is we talked right in the open of when we broke down this video about North Dakota and their forwards coming through on the back check. And it's a good thing you mentioned, the possibility of that rebound or a drop pass here with this trailer, this F3, because really what should happen here, the defenseman that's coming with Nick Poehling is going to be around here. So you've got a defender here who probably is going to take this defenseman, but you also have a forward here that probably should be tracking this high forward here. I mean, look at the positioning here where you have, this weak side at this point. It was the strong side, but now it's the weak side because this play has come across the ice. Now it's overloaded by this North Dakota team, and they really don't have strong coverage here. And this is a testament to St. Cloud and their speed and the transition game that really is created by this Poehling line last season and of course seasons prior. Is their defensive structure is so strong that they create these offensive, or I should say defensive turnovers that turn into offensive chances. And maybe if we can just kind of rack this back just a little bit and see if we can track here, this player here, but for sure one of these guys has to find a guy in the middle here and be busting his butt to backtrack right here. So as we come through here, he's just going to have to hopefully find a man here. Doesn't do that. I mean, the middle is clogged pretty well, but he's got an opportunity for a drop pass. But Jack Poehling did what Jack Poehling did best in this game, and boom, game winner right in the back of the net.
And now, can we rewind back to the blue line play just a second? Because I want to mention also something, a huge thing for North Dakota here. I want you to keep going. I'll stop it right here. Look what Nick Perbix is doing. He's actually stopping up. So if you look at, I see 1, 2, 3 guys, as you mentioned, overloaded. When you talk about overcommitting, in this case, you can kind of almost get away with it, but you have 2 North Dakota forwards here that you have to pick up a man. What could have happened is this far side in between, that would be Nick Poehling, the defenseman, in that forward in the back. If he actually yells at that defensive partner, hey, I've got Nick, and he's in full stride here, if he can catch up a half speed, that would allow this defenseman, I believe it's mismatch, to actually come over, and maybe instead of leaving his feet, he would be able to apply a little bit more stick pressure, maybe dissipate this play altogether. But Nick Perbix there at this point, he's given up himself. This is a 2-on-1, and granted, he doesn't do much, but again, on the far side of the right hand of the screen there, you have a lonely F3, just wait in the weeds. Again, drop pass or rebound, something there. But again, North Dakota there, that's what can happen, and why a team with speed is so dangerous, because things can happen so quickly. And at the end of the day, a half stride behind the play can end up being a wide in the back of the net. And just one quick thing on display here for Jack Poehling, just the shot placement here is just so perfect. Above the pad, below the glove, you're talking about 12 to 14 inches there off the ice on a slap shot. I mean, that gives me reminiscence of Brian Ralston when he played for the Minnesota Wild. Just an unbelievable shot. That's not easy to do. Again, in the higher echelons of play, you're catching that puck, your head is up, and you're having a quick snap release. You can pretty much pick that puck wherever you go. That's the one downside of a slap shot, is that you don't have the accuracy control as you would, but sometimes the power and the surprise can beat you, and that's unfortunately for North Dakota, that's what allowed this goal to get behind Peter Thome, allowed St. Cloud State with the win.
Yeah, I mean, hockey's a funny game where you can make a high percentage play where you can create a breakaway or a 2-on-0 and a goaltender might make a miraculous save, and then you shoot a low percentage shot from the corner and somehow finds its way in. But nonetheless, Nick, ill-advised or not, certainly can't complain about watching a North Dakota goaltender get beat in the Herb Brooks National Hockey Center. But that's going to do it for episode 1 of the Tape to Tape Breakdown. Catch us, of course, at our Twitter at Warming House Den, as well as Huskies Warming House Podcast.com. We just released an episode 21 with Katie Emmer on Saturday, and get ready for episode 22 with Pat Micheletti coming up in just a couple of days.
Fighting for possession along the wall.